iPhone 14 Pro Max. I've had this since its release about 7 months ago, and I want to share with you guys my thoughts, opinions, what generally this phone is about, and I'm going to answer the question: should you buy this phone right now, or should you wait for the iPhone 15, particularly like the 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max? So without further delay, let's dive right in. Starting off with design, this is an iPhone, and this design has pretty much been here since the iPhone 12, 13, and now the 14. Hopefully with the iPhone 15 we see some sort of change with design, but it has more of a boxy feel to it. The sides are squared off, but there's still some rounded corners. I kind of wish it was all boxed. That's just my personal opinion. And I like the overall design though. It has a matte finish to it, which I really appreciate. I don't like how the stainless steel sides, they're glossy. I kind of wish that was matte. Like a full matte iPhone would have been really cool to have. Although it has a great build to it, and I am a fan. When someone sees this, like this design, they know that you're rocking an iPhone. This is the design of the iPhone. It's just there. And when you see other devices like Samsung S23 or the Pixel 7 and 7 Pro, you know now that those are Pixel and Samsung devices. Now, flipping over to the front, this display is great. It's vivid. It gets really bright, up to 2000 nits of max brightness. More than the S23 Ultra, max brightness 1750 on that device. But I gotta say, when using this device, because display is the part of the phone we use the most, you can't go wrong with the display. 120 hertz ProMotion, it's awesome. Now, dynamic island right up here, I don't use it. Like, I don't have any need of it. If there was still a notch, I wouldn't mind at all. Like, they put that there, I guess. Obviously there's software features to it, and it does make it look visually different from its predecessor, but for me, it hasn't really benefited me, and I think that's how it is for majority of the people. This dynamic island doesn't benefit most people. For some it may, but for many it just doesn't. When it first came out, I tried to use it, but nope, ended up just dropping it. Everything else, the speaker quality is great on this. This is hopefully the last iPhone with the lightning cable. iPhone 15, we're going to be getting USB-C. The camera bump right here, just the cameras in general, they're getting larger and larger every single year. Like, this is the largest camera module we've seen on the iPhone, and it's only going to get larger with iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max or Ultra, whatever they decide to call it. I don't know at the time of this recording what's going to be called. Overall, I like the design. I just wish it was a full matte finish. And this gold right here, it's pretty good. I kind of wish it was, it's like a washed out gold. I wish it was a little bit more of like a darker and brighter gold, but nonetheless, the color is really good, and overall design, it's still holding up really well. Moving on to the software and the performance of the 14 Pro Max. And just as a heads up, I have the 256 gig model right here. So iOS 16, it introduces the whole lock screen customization, always on display with the 14 Pro and 14 Pro Max series. And by the way, check out this wallpaper, Nebula. It's my latest wallpaper pack. I'll be leaving a link in the description down below if you haven't already. But I gotta say, iOS 16, it's very buggy in my experience. Like, the general performance of this is great. Whether you're watching lots of YouTube videos using this to make content on social media, whether it be playing games like Pokemon Unite or Call of Duty, whatever it is, you're going to enjoy it on the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and it has the largest display of the iPhones. Well, 14 Plus shares the same screen size. It's good, but it just hasn't been that smooth. Like, there are various bugs that iOS 16 has, and it varies from user to user, and with multiple updates, it still has the same problems. Like, for me, this one, the phone, like, at least once or twice a week, it'll freeze after multiple updates, and I don't know why. And let's say I receive a new update, and I'll just dismiss because I don't want to update it right now. I'll dismiss, and the entire screen will freeze. Like, I won't be able to switch from the home screen to the next screen, and the only way is to bring down this right here, and that's really it. There are other times where it'll freeze, like I'll open the screen and instead of showing the wallpaper, it'll just like be washed out and I can't swipe up, and it's just a huge hassle. Like once or twice maybe in the entire usage would have been okay, but it's just been happening more often as of late. And even when I do update to the latest software, that problem particularly doesn't get fixed. I don't know why. Hopefully iOS 17 is going to clear out those bugs, and I definitely will be trying on iOS 17. But like, I'm not here to bash on iOS 16 and tell you, oh, it's the worst. It's still great. Like the performance-wise, an iPhone iOS 16 or A16 Bionic chipset is still good, and it's fast and smooth. Like the overall performance speed-wise, it's great. It's just these bugs that get in the way of the user experience really does bug me out, and I'm pretty sure it'll bug out a lot of other people. So that's just one thing downside the iPhone 14 Pro series has compared to its predecessor, the 13 series, when it was released with iOS 15 and the A15 Bionic chipset. So there it is for performance. I hope Apple does clear out those bugs in the future. Now, with iOS 16, well, with Apple, we're getting pretty much 5 years of software updates. They don't really go out and announce how many years they're going to support their devices, but given on past devices, probably 5 years. So 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, iOS 21. And I even think then this will perform really well as long as it doesn't have those software bugs. This device will tackle the latest software 5 years down without any issue whatsoever. But let's move on to the camera, which is a part of the phone now that's being talked more and more about with every single device. And for me, it's the part of the device that I don't talk about the most. If it just, open the camera, take a good photo, for me, that's really it. I'm not paying too much attention. Now, slowly I am with the better qualities, like 200 megapixel camera on the S23 Ultra, the 48 megapixel on the 14 Pro Max. But I do have to say that the iPhone camera is definitely one to rely on, especially if you're just going to open it up, go to the camera, and point and shoot. That's, point and take the photo, then you're all set to go. It's something to rely on. The 48 megapixel camera right here, it's definitely an upgrade from the 12 megapixel camera its predecessors had. Yeah, it has been getting upgrades ever since the iPhone 6S, which the 12 megapixel camera was first debuted. But now we're physically getting a larger camera sensor, 48 megapixels, and it does take really good photos, both in daylight and in low light photos. Now the phone, I gotta say, it's even better for video, and I think it's the perfect device for making content. If you're looking to make content, whether it be on YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, TikToks, whatever it may be, this is it. I think the iPhone 14 series, well, particularly here, 14 Pro Max, and even if you don't like the larger size, you can go with the iPhone 14 Pro because they have the same camera setup. It's the perfect device. Like if you're carrying this and you're looking to get a camera and all that other extra equipment that you don't need initially when starting off, don't just move on from those. You already have the iPhone 14 Pro or 14 Pro Max to get started. And most of my videos, other than this one right here, is being recorded with an iPhone 14 Pro Max. The A-roll you see right here, the top down, is with the iPhone 14 Pro Max. My B-roll is with my Sony camera, and other types of videos, like since I'm recording this is also with an iPhone. This is with an iPhone 12. So I rely on iPhone's video to make great content, and also fits well with my workflow. But if you're looking to start making content on whatever platform it is, I think iPhone is the perfect device for that. So good job, Apple. And I hear rumors of better upgrades even with the iPhone 15 series in 2023. So I'm super excited for the upgrades, and hopefully it'll give a better experience, especially if you're looking to make content on your iPhone. That's going to lead me into the battery life of the 14 Pro Max. Now, it's good. The battery life is good, but it's just not as good as its predecessor. Getting about 6 hours of screen on time. And one of the main reasons you can turn this off to get a little bit of better battery life is always on display. I've noticed, like, at one point I turned it off, I was getting just a little bit of better battery life, but it doesn't make a huge impact. So I just leave it on. And when this first debuted, it was pretty much just dimming the entire screen, but now you don't see any wallpaper when you turn it off. It's just all black. All you see is the time and just your notifications or whatever widgets you have, and that's it. Before, it was just dimming the entire wallpaper, so that would take up a little bit of extra battery life too. Nonetheless, like, I have it turned on and I do notice a difference. It may be small, but I still notice a difference. And the charging speeds also take a pretty long time, and I don't use Lightning anymore. I strictly use MagSafe to charge my iPhone, unless like I don't have a MagSafe charger at that point and I just have Lightning because I gotta charge my AirPods Max too. Then I'll go ahead and use Lightning. But for 99% of the time, it's always going to be MagSafe charging with the iPhone. And I hope USB-C with the 15 series brings better charging, faster charging speeds with the 15 Pro Max. And I also hope just a feature that they may want to bring is reverse wireless charging. Android devices have it, and I think this would be really cool because you can charge your AirPods Pro or your AirPods with your iPhone. So I hope they do bring that. But comparing it to predecessors, 13 Pro Max, that was the battery champ for me last year. And I was hoping to get great battery life when I got this phone, but no, it let me down. It's worse battery life than its predecessor. So I hope they up the quality and the battery life this year with the 15 Pro Max. I really do hope so. This is not the battery king anymore. And I gotta give that to the Galaxy S23 Ultra, just in the entire category. Charging speeds, like the battery features you're getting, and overall standby time, how it lasts throughout the day. It doesn't. Like, I have to, if I use this for a full day, I have to charge it before I'm done with the entire day. So that's really a bummer for me. So hopefully they improve with this year's models in the battery department. I'd like to talk about the pricing of the 14 Pro Max before I move on to my final thoughts. Pricing for this $1099 starting, 128 gigs. And while that is expensive, it's only going to be getting more expensive with this year's models. And throughout this entire video, I did compare it with rumors pointing to the iPhone 15 series, because we're only getting closer and closer to the release of the 15. And that's going to have many people wondering, should I get the 14 Pro or the 14s, whatever it is, or wait for the 15 series? And that's why I kind of brought in some information about this year's model. Now, look, $1099, yes, it's expensive, but its main competitor, the S23 Ultra right here, is more expensive at $100 more, $1199. Granted, the base model for this is 256 gigs, so I hope Apple does up their base model to 256 gigs as well, because good thing I picked up 256 gigs myself, because I would have ran out 128 real quickly. Like, I would not recommend picking up 128 gigs, especially after, you know, as time progresses, just move away from 128. At least pick up 256 gigs at the very least. And I hope they make that their base model this year. Look, phones, like, they're expensive. I'm not saying they aren't, but if you can pick up an iPhone 14 Pro Max at $1099, it is more than likely that you can pick it up at 256 gigs for $100 more. So that's just my recommendation. Pick it up at the very least 256 gigs. And now I want to talk about my final thoughts about this device. Look, I love the iPhone. I do. I really love the iPhone, even though I also use an Android device. But the software experience with this 14 Pro Max has been subpar this year. And I'm really hoping iOS 17, at the time of this recording, iOS 17 has not, been announced. So there's that. But I hope it does clear up things, brings in cool features, clears up those bugs that a lot of users are experiencing. But this iPhone 14 Pro Max, it gets me excited for the iPhone 15 Pro or Pro Max or Ultra, whatever they decide to call it, the top end iPhone 15 of this year. So that's going to bring me to the question, should I pick up the iPhone 15 series or the 14 Pro Max, or should I go for the iPhone 15 Pro Max? I would recommend holding off on picking up the 14 Pro Max as of right now, unless you find a really good carrier deal for this. I would say wait until the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max. There's going to be some pretty good improvements that's going to differentiate the two. And if you want to see like an iPhone 15 series rumor roundup, let me know in the comments down below. But there you have it. My thoughts and opinions on iPhone 14 Pro Max. Great phone, but probably going to recommend the iPhone 15 Pro and wait for that. So I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, be sure to superman that like button, comment down below, and best of all, share this video because it really does help out the channel a lot and will help push my content out to more people. That's been it for me, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode.